Continental Classic, the Continental Championship. Basically, Eddie Kingston lost that title to Okada. Just what, 2 weeks from his debut or a week? I I love Okada. Don't get me wrong. I think the other story was should have been told was basically you're Kenny Omega in this situation with the Young Bucks. Like if you've been looking at how it's set up, he's basically replacing Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks referenced it. It was like, hey, no hard feelings to you know Adam the First and you know Kenny Omega, but Kenny, you're not here. Adam, we don't know what you're doing, so we got to move on. We're businessmen. We have to move on. This is the new elite. So, which we all know is going to set up the eventual Kenny Omega Okada match that's going to happen, and you're going to get that on American soil. That's going to be
So
great.
let's clarify some things.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that was my Mania pitch. That was my Mania pitch. I wanted to see Okada come in and
I agree
have
with you.
an all-time debut, beat Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship, and set a standard where he established himself as important in the best way possible right off rip, right?
Hmm.
So then we go to your thing where you're like, well, he just did something similar with Eddie Kingston and took Kingston's title. And I'm sure people are going to look at it as 1-to-1 and they're going to be like, well, what's the difference? Yes, both men have been holding the championships for a while. The difference is Gunther is looking for someone to end that reign. Eddie Kingston still had some life there to where he could have given it to someone who maybe needed it more
Absolutely.
in terms of building a name versus Okada, where it's like you have Okada in AEW because of his presence and already being a big enough star there. There's less of a proving ground. So for him to take a championship right off the bat was a little bit more unnecessary in that environment versus in WWE, where he needs to establish himself a little bit more with an audience that might be more unfamiliar with him. Hence why you could make the argument to belt him up earlier.
Hmm.
Um, as far as I'm concerned, Eddie is still Ring of Honor and New Japan Strong champion. He's just no longer a Triple Crown champion because Okada took that specific Continental title away from him.
Right.
My biggest issue is not so much. Well, I do agree with the Okada winning that belt is a little bit unnecessary. But what's even bigger of an issue for me is what does that do for the landscape of championships in AEW? Because again, Kenny Holt, not Kenny, Kingston holding those three championships makes him look like $1 million. He's got
Hmm.
three different belts from three different companies. On paper, it makes him look great. He's still going to look good with the two championships, yes. A loss for Kingston here isn't the end of the world. The issue is more so the greater landscape of like, what do these belts mean? What are their specific roles? Who are in these specific divisions? Are people bouncing divisions just based off of interest? Is there an earning system? Does the ranking system even matter in some of these cases? That's more so what matters because the Continental Championship began with Kingston, was added as a side piece to two other championships. And for all intents and purposes, the tournament gave us a lot of great TV, but it ultimately was to help a couple of different stories, mainly Kingston's, right? The belt doesn't have an identity really yet on its own. So this is Okada's chance to make something of it. Could it be a situation where he becomes AEW's never open weight type of champion, where it's just a hard hitting defending belt? But then what do you consider the international championship, right? So now you have this situation where, again, AEW having so many different championships could work to their detriment if they don't find a way to organize them. So that's more so what's bothering me. He won the belt. Okay, you've belted up Okada. What does that belt mean? Where do you go with it? How do you make it different from your other existing championships? What are the criteria for defending it and becoming a contender? Who's in that division? That's what they need to figure out.
Is there even a division for the Continental title?
My point.
And
And
and and
then,
and and, and this is where I come in because like y'all been hitting some great points, but here's where it boils down to it, the structure of it. And I've been saying this since NXT 25 before they even got on TV, and and that car ride, we had this conversation,
I
and I
said it
said
first.
this by verbatim. I said they're going to do fan service to a point where one, they book themselves to a corner. They're not going to know what to do with themselves to a point where, hi guys, and to a point where you're turning off your audience, well, a piece of your audience that want to be invested in your product. And no matter how many guys from New Japan that you sign or you think that this is going to be the biggest thing, there's still too much of what you have. All the titles, the rankings just don't mean shit no more. Like, there are certain things, of course, that's my one for today, but the structure in AEW has fluctuated a lot since 2021. Since they signed Punk, really. And then now they keep trying to go for that home run in order to keep luring people in to basically, be invested into their product.
Mm.
And Cody, I ain't gonna hold you, but Cody leaving had a lot to do with how that company kind of turned the tide in terms of how people perceive them.
I got a hot take, but I'm gonna let you finish.
No, I'm done. You can say what you gotta say.
Okay, so I'm gonna make 2 points, and I'm gonna say my hot take, and they're really quick points. One, honestly, I understand why they did the Continental Championship, but isn't your international championship supposed to be kind of like the Continental title?
It's like, yo, it's kind of productive,
right?
Like, and now
they negate each other.
And you know what? I'm gonna borrow something from the first season, from what Todd said in our first season, right? I'm gonna borrow a line that he said in terms of how Vince used to be a party that used to write for one. Tony has become that. And how many times have I said on this show when we first started, to even before AEW got on TV, the fact that I hope and pray he doesn't fall into that line of becoming that kind of person booking. And that's what he's doing. Because now you have your favorites that you're booking around, with the Young Bucks being your EVPs, especially at the top. And then everybody on the bottom is like, okay, Jay White was supposed to be one of your big guys, but he's a side story. MGF is not even on your list, on your roster. I'm not sure if it's a work or not. You're not granting Jack Perry his release. Mirror's not even on TV. Adam Cole's still injured. Like, there's so many there's so many inconsistencies in terms of what's going on with that company right now. And I gotta get this shit off my chest, because I know there are a bunch of AEW guys out there that are like, okay, like, yo, this, that, and the third, and that's cool. But y'all gotta get your head out your asses in terms of how delusional you guys are in terms of what's actually being presented in front of you. Now, there's some great things that they're doing right now, for sure. But the things that they're still fucking up at, they have to find a way to that's two. They have to find a way to steer the ship, because as a viewer, you want to be the alternative. Pick a side and stick to it. Don't just try to, just do it. Just stand on it.
And okay, so that was that. And then my second point to that, the AEW audience already got introduced to Okada. So it's not like AEW, even if you just strictly watch AEW and don't watch New Japan, or you watch both, or whatever the case may be, it's not like you don't know who Okada is. Okada already came to AEW and did his it wasn't a one-off, but he did his program, and that was it. And then the last thing that I want to say about this, right? And then we can pivot to something else. My biggest thing with AEW, and this is the hot take that I'm going to say, I don't think they can recover from losing Cody. That's that. Hold on. I don't think they can recover from losing Cody. I think when Cody jumped a couple of 2 years ago, almost 3, 2. Because it was 2022. When Cody made the jump back to WWE, they know the resources Cody Rhodes has. They know the relationships that he's built with people. Look at the people that's coming back to WWE. Sean Spears, even though ain't nobody care, but Sean Spears, he's in NXT. He came back. I know, Tyler. I know you're looking at me like, put some respect on the chairman. I have no problems with him, but some people don't care. Jade Cargill is now made that jump. Another person developed a really close relationship with Cody Rhodes. Possibly now, MJF probably might make that jump. It might be the next one to make that jump. If this whole thing is a work or not. Right. So the thing is this, and I'm gonna wrap this with a bow with an NBA comparison. When a top star or a budding star makes a jump to a team, you start to see that team get better. And we've seen it happen. We've seen the Miami Heat go from a floundering sixth, seventh, almost eighth place team. Then LeBron comes in and now number one in the East, finals, championship, whatever. I know, Matt, you're going to be like Braun sexual. No, I just wanted to make that comparison. Same thing. You could take any team like that. Kawhi Leonard, look where the Raptors were before Kawhi Leonard got there. Kawhi Leonard came there, did his 1 year, got them a championship. Now look at where the Raptors are now. They're not even a thought. Pick a team. It doesn't matter. The Lakers with Shaq, even though they struggled for a little while, but they eventually clicked. This is the same comparison. Cody now has made the jump to WWE. And look at all the people that are coming in. I don't think Punk is a product of that, only because I think CM Punk is just trying to hinder some past demons. He's just trying to make good on his past demons. But all those other people that I named, Sean Spears, Jade Cargill, all these people are coming back because, oh, Cody is over there. You don't think Cody is talking to these people and telling them, hey, listen, your contract's coming up. I understand if you want to stay at AEW, but over here, we got an opportunity for you.
All right. Well, I'll wrap this up in a bow. I don't agree with you. I don't come to AEW's defense often, but that's not because I don't want to. It's because they usually don't give me much of a reason to. But in this situation, I think it's fair to say this. You want to use an allegory or some sort of like comparison, I'll use one. DC Comics was met with the Marvel sensation of the Avengers universe and everything that came with it, right? They panicked, tried to go big, and tried to answer back with the Justice League. They rushed it. It didn't work. They should have started with the Titans and branched from there. They should have went young, started with the Titans, branched from there. Everything could have spin off from there. You would have built new stars that people should be familiar with, and then bring in older ones that could help complement everything and make a much more organic universe. AEW is the same situation. They let some people go because they made some mistakes or something had happened, creative differences, whatever. Should have just invested more in being with their younger talent and structuring themselves better so that they would have the foundation to where if they wanted to bring in more established names, those names can complement established stars as opposed to taking the spots of people who should be established stars. And that's all I got to say about that.